So this month we will speak about self-love. This one is completely directed at you. Okay, this is for you. This is for you. Don't forget that in the Single and Ready Club, we are all about inspiring people to know that they can have meaningful relationships and successful marriages. And we do this through deliberate training and coaching. That is why we are having these sessions we have. That is why we have the premarital masterclass. That is why we have the one-on-one counseling. That is why we have the one-on-one premarital counseling sessions. Why? Because we want people to be prepared for this institution of marriage. We want to inspire you to know that irrespective, and I like to say this, irrespective of what you have experienced so far, irrespective of how beautiful or not the marriage in your home was, all right, that's home when you were growing up, irrespective of what it looked like, we want you to know you can have a beautiful marriage. It is possible, it is achievable, and if you are ready, stick around with us and apply your heart to what we're saying, because you will experience it. All right, so we're talking about self-love this month, and you will just love this. Okay, so I will jump right at it and cover the much we can cover within the time we have, and then we will continue in the week that follows, or in the weeks that follow. I beg your pardon. Okay, so when we're speaking about the different kinds of love, I know we talked about agape, of course, being the overall one. I wanted to put that last. The other one skipped my brain. We spoke about philia, we spoke about storge, we spoke about eros, and we spoke about agape. And while we spoke about all of those, I mentioned that there was another we're going to contemplate on its own as a different session, which is called the philosia. Philosia speaks about self-love. Now, these are the ways the ancient Greeks, these are not English words or Igbo words. Okay, philosia is the name that the ancient Greeks gave the study of self-love. Okay, and let's just jump right into it. Okay, so self-love is actually linked with confidence, is linked with self-worth, is linked with that having that level of acceptance of yourself and confidence in your own skin. Okay, and some people take self-confidence or self-love to the left. Okay, in the course of these conversations, we would delve into that. Some people take it left, but you're going to learn the right things. You're going to know which ones really matter. You're going to see the healthy and the unhealthy sides of it. Okay, so when we started talking about love, if you remember, we said that love in its purest form comes from God. Because the Bible says that you cannot love unless you have been born of God and you know God. And because all of those qualities that love actually describe are qualities that are alien to your typical human nature. What am I saying? As a typical man or woman, as a natural person, you have certain tendencies, okay? And those tendencies show up in different ways when triggered, okay? And everything about your life contributes to empowering those responses. The way you were brought up, the kind of experiences you had, and the environment you lived in, all of that contributed to the concepts, the beliefs in your head or in your brain, as it were. And then your responses most times derive from those beliefs, okay? But we said that what happens is when you receive the love of God, it's like a new software is installed in you, a new software that can help you to now respond in a different way. Okay, so when you should have typically responded out of anger, because now you have love in you, you can superimpose on that anger and not express it. Rather, you will express kindness and gentleness and self-control. You see, the typical you before would have flared up in anger. But now that there is a new software, a new OS operating, okay, instead of that anger, there is gentleness, there is self-control, there is kindness, okay? Now you're not cursing at somebody, you're using nice words and kind words and uplifting words, okay? So we went from there, okay, to also establish how these things are easier when you understand the love of the Father. Okay, but I'm giving this background because when we speak about self-love, one of the first references in the Bible we like to relate to is when the teachers of the law tried to play a trick on Jesus, and they told him that okay, yeah, you're a teacher, right? Okay, so what's the most important commandment in the law? It was a trick question. They were trying him. Okay, but of course Jesus is all-knowing, and his wisdom could not be gainsaid. So he told them, he said, well, the most important commandment in the law is you have to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Okay, now he should have just stopped there, but immediately he said that they asked him for the most important one, or the best commandment, if I should say, and the most important one. But instead of him to stop there, he said, and the second is like the first. Why didn't he just stop there? I mean, he said, and the second is like the first, and that second one is where he now told them to love your neighbor as yourself. In other words, love your neighbor the way you love yourself. Now, let me tell you what that means. Okay, now that means that when you have received this love from the Father, it is easier for you now to express love. But take note, the expression of love we're speaking about is not just to outsiders first, it is internally. It is internally. This is where many people miss it. They haven't administered that love to themselves. Funny enough, there are still people who reject themselves. Okay, if you put them, okay, and other people to choose from, they will choose other people and put themselves last. So there are people who don't even accept themselves the way they are. There are people who think only about their weaknesses. There are people who think only about their flaws. Okay, there are people who are not even hopeful in themselves. There are people who don't even forgive themselves. Okay, and these are things that love would help you do. Okay, love will help you forgive yourself. Love will help you to be hopeful, to persevere. You know, love will help you to control yourself. But there are many people who don't even do these things. Why? Because they don't even understand that this love should be expressed to them first. And take note, when you have received the love of God and you have learned to administer it to yourself, it becomes easier to administer same to the people around you. So, my guys, when next you see that lady who is always unhappy, always angry, or that young man who is always on the edge, you know, don't take it out on him. It might not just be his fault. He just may not have received this love or understood how to apply it to himself. Okay, and somebody wants to ask that if the Bible says we should love one another as ourselves, how about those people who don't even love themselves? That means you're going to be in trouble if somebody who doesn't love themselves is trying to love you the way he doesn't love himself. I mean, you're going to be in trouble. There are people who harm themselves. Okay, so if they can harm themselves, then they can harm you. I remember those days, at some point in my growing up, at a certain environment where there was an outburst of street fight, you know, and there's this. Okay, no, sorry, this was a story I heard. I wasn't there. Somebody shared the story. And there was going to be a fight. And then this particular guy, he picked up a block, you know, this hollow blocks that they use for building. He picked up a block and broke it on his own head. Okay, smashed the block on his head and it shattered. Okay, now, of course, when that happened, the people who were trying to fight him, they had to take off. Because if this one can break block on his own head, what will happen to your head? Just think about it. There are people who, when they are fighting, they can you know, inflict injuries upon themselves. If the person is injuring himself, what do you think will happen to you that want to go and fight that kind of person? All right. So the application in what we're discussing is, if somebody loves himself so much that he can even inflict harm on himself, is it another person that he will not inflict harm on? You see, so some people say, hey, that you cannot even trust that because I mean, there are people who are harmful to themselves. There are people who don't really love themselves. So how do you expect such people to love you as they love themselves? Don't forget that at some point when Jesus, just before his betrayal, death, burial, and resurrection, just towards the end of his physical time here on earth, you know, he said to his disciples, he said something very profound in John 13:34. He said, a new commandment I give unto you. A new commandment that I'm giving unto you. And what was this commandment? He says that you should love one another as I have loved you. Now, he could only explain this to them because he had demonstrated by his life what his love for them meant. They had seen him feed the hungry. They had seen him how he used compassion, to heal people's sicknesses, cast out demons. All of those things was out of love. The disciples had seen the expression of his love. They had seen how he fed people who stayed for his crusade, and then it was too late to go back, and he said, let's give them food. And he fed them till they were overfed and there was surplus. They had seen him express love. They had seen him wash their feet. His own disciples, he washed their feet. They had seen their master do all manner of things that were different from what they were typically used to. So they understood when he was saying, as I have loved you, now you love others. Okay, so that makes you understand that the standard self for loving people and for loving yourself is not just how you want to feel about yourself, but the standard is what Jesus Christ has demonstrated to you in his love for you. And take note, if you pay attention to it very, very, very carefully, you would notice that you have no reason to give up on yourself, because Jesus never gave up on you. If he had given up on you, he would not have proceeded to die on the cross to pay the price for your salvation, your healing, your wealth, and every great thing that you have desired in this life, which are already yours from the moment you believed in him. Okay, so you are loving people as Christ has loved you. He told them that it's because he's a good shepherd that he would lay down his life for the sheep. Okay, and don't forget, we said that love is you being ready, willing, intentional, and committed to going all out to be the best for that person you're choosing to love. Okay, you're going all out for them. You're going all out. And you're not getting tired, whether you're getting thank you or not, whether the person is reciprocating or not. No. That is love. It's powerful. It's powerful. Okay, so I just wanted to give you that background of self-love, because we'll be going into it, some more. All right, but you need to understand first of all that you cannot express outwardly what you have not expressed inwardly. You can only give out what you have received and expressed within. If you have not genuinely expressed love to yourself, okay, if you don't show love to yourself, then you would definitely have a challenge showing love to the people in your space, and then especially to your spouse. Okay, so let's go further into what we're saying. Okay, so your love for God, all right, your love for God derives from his love for you first, and then that love you have received from him is what you express to yourself, and then you express to other people. All right, I just wanted to say that. Now, self-love. This topic is just so beautiful because one of the fundamental things I talk to people about in relationships and marriage is about your self-concept. Many of the problems people have in relationships derive from their self-concept, derive from what they're telling themselves, derive from what they believe, derive from how they see themselves, what they think about themselves. Okay, so that's why this topic is very, very important, because we're going to do justice. We're going to do serious justice to it. Now, I wrote down a few things. I said love is a response to an understanding of value. Okay, and I heard Dr. Miles Monroe use this illustration in one of his teachings. Now, he said this, that if you were given a gift item, let me use a phone, all right? There's a particular brand of phone. Okay, let me use the ones we can all relate with. Now, there is the Nokia 3310 phone. Okay, some of you know that phone. That is the almighty Nokia 3310. Okay, now there is that Nokia 3310, and then there is an iPhone 13 Pro Max. If you were gifted with both phones, the Nokia 3310 and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Which are you going to value more? That's pretty obvious, right? That's pretty obvious, I think. I think it's just easy to know the answer. Okay, your answer is most likely going to be that you would value more the iPhone, the latest version of the iPhone, for obvious reasons. So let's look at some of the reasons why you would value that more. Okay, the first phone type I mentioned is not even a smartphone. It's an unsmartphone. There are many things you can do with it. You can surf the internet with it. You can't readily access information with it. Okay, but you can do a whole lot. In fact, you can do the whole world with your smartphone, with your iPhone. Alright, so that already makes it more valuable. Then let's come to the pricing. How much is the Nokia 3310? I don't even know if it's still in the market. Do you understand? You know that, hey, this one is worth just a few thousands. But the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you're talking about over $1,000. Okay, so obviously you are going to treat one like a baby and the other like what I don't know. Okay, so now, why is it easy for you to pay more attention to one than the other? It's because of your interpretation of value. It's because of your understanding that item B is more valuable to you than item A. Alright? That is what we're talking about. So love is an understanding of value. And that is why when we see how certain persons treat themselves, we know that this thing is a deep-seated problem. It's a very deep-seated problem. This person cannot help him or herself right now because they don't love themselves and they don't even know it. And as we continue, you will see what I mean. I'll give practical examples that you can relate with. Okay, so this understanding of value, it now gives you an idea of what it means when the Bible says that God so loved us that he gave his only son. In other words, you are so valuable to God that the only price that was fit to, as it were, get you was his own death. Let me put it like that. The death of Jesus Christ. So God gave you himself. He practically put himself on the line for you. That is how valuable you are. When you go to the market to buy certain things and you see something you like and the price is way above what you have, and you tell the seller, hey, but maybe he tells you is 1,000. You say, no, I have just 500. And he says, oh no, that is not the worth for it. I cannot sell it for 500. But if you give me 1,000, then you would have this product. Okay. Now, what that means is that the value of that thing is that amount for which, except that amount is tendered, that value, that product will not be enjoyed. Take note that the only price that was due and fit and perfect for you was the death of Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God. So how valuable are you? You are as valuable as what it cost to get you, which is Jesus. You are as valuable to God as his son Jesus. You are as valuable to God as himself. Yes, as himself. Why? Because when he was making this world and he was going to need himself to administer the earth, to run the management of the earth, he needed himself to do it. That's why he said, let us make people like us. So he reached into himself, made himself in the form of man, human, who will be on the face of the earth to administer the earth. So it's more or less God himself coming to earth to administer the earth, just that this time he decided to put himself in people. So what are you worth? You are worth God. Because it took God to get you here. This is very important. You are worth God. You are worth God. Your worth is God. Your worth is not what you have in your pocket. Your worth is not your bank account. Your worth is not what you can do or cannot do. Your worth is not the people you know. It's not the people in your network. Okay? Your worth is not the skills you have. Your worth is not the mistakes you have made. Your worth is not all the terrible things people have said about you. Your worth is not your inabilities. Your worth is God. You are worth God. If it took God to get you, then you are worth God. Your self-concept needs to start with this. You are valuable. That's what I'm saying. You are terrifically valuable. There is no adjective that can qualify and quantify how valuable you are to God. We cannot overemphasize this. We cannot overemphasize this point. No. Can never be overstretched. You are worth God because it took God to get you. Wow. Let it sink in. Let it sink in. Let it sink in some more. You are worth God. Let it sink in some more. Let it sink in. You see, sometimes what the devil does is he begins to play tricks with your mind by showing you your shortcomings, by showing you all the things that are not working for you, by showing you your struggles, by showing you how you are not worthy enough, how you don't worth anything good. No, don't believe all those lies. God thought you were good enough. That's why he came by himself to get you. After the fall of man, God came by himself to give you hope. You are worth God. You're not what your boyfriend says you are. You're not what your girlfriend says you are. You're not even what your parents say you are. You are only what God says you are. So anybody and anything that does not repeat to you what God has said that you are, discard that information. You have the right to discard it, throw it away. It is useless and of no effect to you. Tell them I said so. Discard, throw it away. Banish any thought that reduces you from exactly what God says about you. Banish it. Don't let it cross into your mind space. Banish it. Put a barricade. Let your firewalls be active. Any thought that is trying to make you feel less than yourself, that's trying to make you feel disempowered, don't let it in. Remind yourself that it took God, Almighty God, to get you here. You are worth God. You are worth God. It took Almighty God to get you here. When God wanted to create every other thing, he spoke to every other thing. He spoke to the water. He spoke to the firmament. He spoke to the earth. Okay? When he wanted to create animals, he spoke to the earth. Land animals. When he wanted the ones in the sea, he spoke to the waters. When he wanted vegetation, he spoke to the earth. When he needed man, he could not speak to any other thing that was created. He could only speak to himself. So your essence is God. You need to establish this. Your essence is God. From the origin, from the beginning when you were going to come out, it was from God himself that you came out. You are just like him. He's your father. That is how valuable you are. Your worth is God. All right. So let me share a few things. Your self-love, if you have followed what I have said so far, your self-love, first of all, is derived from your self-discovery. Understanding this point I have just explained, where you came from. You came from God. Understanding that is the beginning of self-love. Guess why? Because even when you are failing in your activities, in your expectations of yourself, and you are trying to feel bad, and your mind is making you, to be sunk in defeat, self-defeat, and you're just sulking even in that state, when you remember how precious and priceless you are to God, that should give you hope. That should help you tell yourself that, you know what, I may be failing today, but I will bounce right back tomorrow. That makes you hungry enough to begin to look at the promises and the provisions God has made for you, to see how you can start appropriating them to your life. You see, it gives you hope. But when you are void of this understanding of where you're from, of who you are, when you're devoid of this understanding, then you would allow every useless thought to have its way in your mind. You start looking at yourself like you're irresponsible, like you're not worth it, like you're just a good for nothing, like you're just useless. And all those terrible things that people say to you will begin to play in your head, and you begin to brood on it. And the more you brood on it, the more space it is occupying. The more you brood on it, the more it is growing. The more you brood on it, the more that thought is being empowered in your space. You are who God says you are. That is your value. So your self-love starts when you discover you. Discover who you really are. Who you really are. You're God's son. You are God's daughter. You are the very image and likeness of God. You have His character. You are that important if you don't know. You are that important. See, and I'm not saying whether you have been living right or living wrong. I'm saying that just know it. However you have been behaving, you are that important to God, and He accepts you just the way you are. Let that sink in for a bit. Okay. Now, you see, your source is who you are. Your source is who you are. When you, so I don't know if you're familiar with the process of extracting sugar from sugarcane, right? But just assume you know it from the cane, and then the sugar is extracted. Just assume you know all the process that goes on, okay, from this to that end product. Now, the sugar that is the finished product, that fine sugar that you now consume, is exactly the same thing that was in the original form. It's just that it has been expressed to a different form. But that sweetness is the same sweetness that was in the plant. What am I saying? You are your source. Your expression may be different because of purpose and destiny and what God has for you to do on earth, but you are fundamentally from Him. So you are your source. Let it sink in. And your source is God. Don't look at yourself like you don't matter anymore. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. So your source begins to give you an idea of your worth. If you take diamond and cut it in pieces, every piece of it is a diamond. Every piece of it. If you take a lump of salt and dispense it around, every particle of salt is salty because it is salt. Point is, you are your source. Your source is God. Therefore, you are God here on earth. That is why He put you here, to represent Him absolutely. And that is why it is only mankind that has dominion over every other thing. Every other thing God created, including the sun and moon and stars. Man has dominion over them. Because you are God. Yes. So let it sink in. Let it sink in there. Understanding your source helps you understand your worth. Yes. I feel like staying on that point for a long time so that you stop, evaluating yourself based on any other useless thing that just, sometimes when good things happen, you feel special. When bad things happen, you feel unspecial. When you succeed, when people hail you, when you get the accolades, you feel like you're something important, all right? Then when you don't get those accolades, even when you do something good, just because people did not give the accolades, you start feeling bad. Come on. You need to understand that your life is not determined by the feedback of other people. If they like, let them clap. If they like, let them not clap. What matters most is, what are you doing to yourself? What are you telling yourself? You should be your biggest cheerleader. You should be your number one fan. Oh yes. If they don't commend you, commend yourself. In fact, if they tell you you did terribly, You go and psych yourself up and tell yourself, see, don't worry, they don't even know what's happening. This is the best way it can be done. But I'll prove them that I know exactly what I'm doing. And you'll do it better the next time. My point is, don't let other people's feedback be what runs your life. No, you can't do that. You run yourself to the ground. All right? So, there are people who value themselves based on what they wear. The designer clothes, whoosh, the expensive wristwatch, the expensive clothes, the expensive hairstyle. Do you understand? So they value themselves externally by what is the worth of everything they're putting on. Now that's also wrong, because if your self-worth is derived from the clothes you wear, the day you wear something expensive and people don't notice it, you're going to be feeling bad unnecessarily. The day you do a special hair and you expected that, man, when you step into the place, everybody's going to go, wow. And then you step into the place, not one person is even saying, wow. And then while you're still trying to get through that, you even now draw somebody's attention. Can't you see my hair? And the person is like, oh, that. You will feel terrible. Why? Because you have given the validation of your life, first, to external things, two, to other people's hands. So when those people are not giving you the validation you need, you will feel terrible. Your self-worth is not determined by what you wear. It's not determined by the properties you have or your external wealth. That is not what determines your self-worth. It is inside out first. Take note of it. It is inside out first. You see, when Mark Zuckerberg came to Nigeria, he was walking on the streets of Yaba with what? T-shirt and jeans. Billionaire, global standard, top 10 in the world. He was working with t-shirt, unbranded t-shirts and jeans. But you, the first day 1 million enters your hand, 1 million, 1 million. Go and buy big chain, gold chain. I don't show. Bling everywhere. Nobody will hear word again. Ordinary small money entered your hand. Why? Because you have told yourself that I will start becoming important when I can put on these things. You have told yourself that these are the things that will make me important. These are the things that will make people look at me. These are the things that will make them regard me. So I am only as important as the gold chain I am putting on, or as the gold bracelets I am wearing. So you have carried the full importance of your life as a human being and put it on things. Aye. Sorry, it's your case. Sorry. It's your case. That is what happens when people don't know their worth. Okay? And then you see how it now affects your self-esteem. Alright? Self-esteem is one of the biggest issues I deal with every day in almost every counseling session. It plays out in different forms. Whether it's over-bloated self-esteem or low self-esteem, whether it's superiority complex or inferiority complex, so complex is complex. It plays out in different ways. Why? Because your esteem is the idea of the estimation of yourself. Your self-esteem is how you estimate your own worth. So take note, I have said that your worth is God. But because you don't know that, or you don't believe it, or you don't understand it, when you're trying to interpret your worth to yourself, there is another valuation you use. And then it makes you feel like, okay, I am not 10 star, I'm not 5 star, I'm 2 star, I'm 1 star. Now, that is your estimation of yourself. Take note that your self-esteem, most times, especially when it's not positive, it is a wrong valuation of yourself. That is when you have either a superiority complex or an inferiority complex. Okay? Because it is a wrong valuation. You're using the wrong parameters. Where you're supposed to be measuring A, you're measuring Z. So your answers will be wrong. I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. So self-esteem, you see, is how you now interpret your estimation of your worth to yourself. I've told you you're worth maybe 10 billion, but you look at yourself and say, no, we are not worth any $10 billion, so I'm worth just 50 kobo. It is you telling yourself it. That's why it's self-esteem, self-estimation of my own importance, self-estimation of my own worth, self-estimation of how valuable I am. So take note, while it is true that your source is God and He has empowered you on earth to do and undo, He has given you all the dominion you need, He has given you the mandate, the charge, and the authority to rule over earth. While He has done all that for you, do you know it is possible you still look at yourself and think you are a victim, and think you are not powerful, and think you're classless and useless, and think you are just a mistake? That is your own interpretation, and that estimation of your value, it now shows in how you live your life. It shows in how you relate with other people. It shows in how you take care of yourself. Now remember that first example we gave about the latest iPhone and the Nokia 3310. Remember that example? All right. So typically, how are you going to treat these two devices? You discover that first things first, you might even go and buy a pouch, a proper befitting pouch for your iPhone, a proper screen guard, because you don't want to hear by mistake that the screen crack or it break. You know those kind of screens that you need to practically buy another phone, because the amount to replace that screen just adds small thing, you buy the phone again. So you don't want to hear that by mistake. I don't know how it happens. Sorry. I say let me just, before I know it, I did not know when the phone now fell and it cracked. Hey? You see, this is another problem. Because you have made your self-esteem to be tied around that object, even when you have to it almost cost you your life to get it. Because I know people who will use their house rent, their school fees, monies for important things, savings, everything, they'll collapse it, even take loan on top to go and buy the latest phone. Then guess what? One child of the devil will go and crack that phone. And then you see them running mad. Literally running mad, because for goodness sake, somebody used his whole life to buy something. Now you want to kill him. So you see them running mad. They lose control. They start shouting everywhere. I will deal with you. I will do this. I will find that. Wahala, problem. Because you took all your importance and placed it on an object. Worst case, or worse off, the fact that you cannot even readily replace it. And even for those who can readily replace it, it's still expensive. Problem. So what happens? You take special care of it. You will wear it clothes, pouch, screen guard. Then you won't just throw it anywhere. When you are going out, you say, I'm a very careless person. I drop my phone anywhere. It's not your latest iPhone. You will not drop it anywhere. You will keep it close to you, inside your bag. You go near body. International audience, that means you keep it close to you. Yes, you go near body where, because you don't want to hear that something happened and my latest iPhone went missing. You don't want to hear that. Okay, so you keep it close to you. You take very special care. In fact, some of these latest gadgets, you see that it's written there that it is water resistant. Okay, so you've seen some videos of people who do beautiful proposals, maybe in the pool, and they're videoing it with their phones, their smartphones, because those phones are water resistant. Now let me ask you a question. The fact that you know that phone is water resistant, does it mean that every night when you are about to sleep, you carry your phone and drop it in a bowl of water, let it also be having a pool bath? Because it is water resistant, will you drop it inside water all night? You won't try it. In fact, that it is water resistant does not mean that it lives in water. It means that under certain conditions, and if you read the terms of some of those warranties, there are conditions where this 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 resistance to water will work. After a while, it will spoil something in the phone, because this gadget was not meant to be used inside water. But peradventure it enters water by mistake. You don't be scared. It will still work. Alright? But if you carry it and go and dump inside water, no problem. When you're having your bath, soak the phone to inside bowl of water. Let it be having this bath too. Then you will learn something. Yes, you will learn something very, very, very dear to you. But my point, and I'm just trying to say, is because you love it, you take care of it. You take care of it. One of the indications of self-love is that you're willing to take care of yourself. I'm not even going to read any other thing on my notes. I feel like I want to stop here. But let me explain what I'm saying. If you love yourself, you will take care of yourself. What does care mean to you? What does healthy behavior mean to you? Now, do you know that unfortunately, for those people who only validate themselves from other people, do you know that that's what leads people into peer pressure? That's what leads people to take decisions because every other person is taking it. That's what makes people join the bandwagon effect. That's what makes people want to be. They want to become like somebody else. They feel like until I'm perceived as this other person, I don't have any essence. I have not begun to matter. Okay, so they start living their full lives trying to be somebody else. Oh my God. If you're doing that, you definitely don't care about yourself. And the one that breaks my heart the most is people who would physically go and hurt themselves. Young man, why are you taking hard drugs? Young lady, why are you smoking? Young man, why are you smoking? Even the producers of this thing are telling you that people who indulge in it will most likely die young. They have to put that warning there. Yet people will open their two eyes and start inflicting death on themselves daily. Listen to me. I don't know what interpretation you give the pleasure you get from taking hard drugs or smoking, but what it really means is that you don't know your worth, that you are not valuable to yourself, that you don't love yourself. That's what it means. You don't know your worth because you're doing something that is entirely detrimental to you, yet you are doing it and even enjoying yourself doing it. It is detrimental to your health. It will cause you problems. It can cut you short from achieving your dreams. It can cut you short from living the life you have desired. But no, because I think I like it right now, there is a feeling it gives me. You see this thing about feeling again. Okay, we dealt with feeling extensively when we were talking about what love is not. Okay, there's a feeling it gives you. All right, and then you are indulging in it daily, writing and signing your own death warrant by yourself. That is terrible. That's one of the biggest tragedies in this world. If you know what self-love is, you will take care of you. You will prevent your body from falling sick. You will observe good hygiene. You take good care of you. And it involves every part of you, your spiritual health, your mental health, your physical health. If you love yourself, there are certain people you will not allow around your space. Why? Because they only bring bad vibes. When they come, you quickly excuse yourself. I want to gist with you. Sorry, I'm not chanced. Because listening to them is only filling your mind with trash and useless information that, if you are not careful, will begin to do damage to you. When you understand self-love, you would understand what self-care is. How to take care of yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit. And then this other part. When you really value yourself, you won't be in a hurry to expose yourself to the whole world. Now, I've tried to ask myself severally, when I see ladies who dress skimpy, okay, and who expose vital and important or private areas of their bodies, sometimes I try to ask myself, why really did she wear this cloth? You know you are very busty, and then you wear something that is going to show your entire cleavage. I ask myself, why really did she dress like this? Perhaps she wants you to take note of her as soon as she steps out, on the street. She wants heads to be turning. She wants people to say, oh, wow, see Bobby, see beauty, see the shape, see this, see that. Now, what is that feeling going to do for her? Just one thing, just make her feel good. Some people are lucky when it puts money in their pockets. But ultimately, the biggest reward is not the money. It's what it's doing to them. It's how it's making them feel. Do you know why? Because somewhere in their mind, they have told themselves that if people don't tell me I'm beautiful, then maybe I'm not beautiful. So since they are not saying it, let me try to show them everything I have. Perhaps it will make their attention to me to be drawn. So they want that attention, they want to be noticed, but they think that it is by exposing things that are meant to be covered that they will be noticed. Yes, they will really be noticed. But really, what kind of attention are they trying to themselves? The same way the person who is smoking and doing things that are harmful to his health is suffering from a lack of self-value and understanding of self-value. It's the same way that the person who is dressing irresponsibly, especially when you're exposing areas that are meant to be private, okay, then such a person is equally suffering from lack. It's an identity crisis, from lack of a healthy self-esteem, from lack of self-value. If you're listening to me here and you still dress like that, sit down and ask yourself, what's my reason for doing this? What has it brought me so far? What good has it really done for you? Now, think of it in all sincerity. Okay, because if you're looking for fame, then congratulations, it may have made you famous. It makes a lot of people famous. I mean, that's why a lot of people are going to do all the plastic surgery and all the body parts enhancements just so that they can strike a particular appeal. Can't you see that something is fundamentally wrong? Because you are telling yourself, if I can't strike this appeal, then I'm not important. And that is a problem. Because you are more important, even without that appeal you're trying to sell to the world. I hope somebody understands what I'm saying. So, I have said that your self-love starts from your self-discovery, discovering your source. When you discover your source, then you will know your value. When you will know your value, then the next thing you need to do is to accord yourself your true value. Don't estimate your value less than it really is. That's what low self-esteem is. When you estimate your value less than what it really is. And guess what? We see your self-esteem every day you step out. It shows in how you answer people. Give me a second. Someone said the video is paused. It might be a network thing. Please, if it comes back on, do well to let me know. Okay? Or maybe it's the person's network. Alright, I need somebody to comment. If the video is still playing, just give me a comment so that I know that you're with us. Alright? Well, we're actually wrapping it up. It's already about that time where we close. Okay, so I need to see your comment if it's playing where you are, if you can hear me, or if it is paused like someone has reported. Okay, it's on. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Alright, so you see what we've said. You need to apply your understanding that you are worth God, because it took God to get you. That's the price. If they price you for market, that is your price. God. So you need to understand that. Take that understanding now and put it to work in how you relate with yourself. put it to work. Yeah, thank you guys for the feedback. Thank you so much for the feedback. All right. You need to put that understanding to work with yourself and tell yourself that no matter what happens around you, I am valuable. I am valuable. I am valuable. Then estimate yourself rightly. And the truth is, the more you know about God, the more you will know about yourself. The more you know about yourself, the better you will love yourself. Because you will see possibilities, you will see newness. Even me, I'm a wonder to myself. Every day I'm unfolding to myself. There's something I do a lot. At different times in my life, I reinvent myself. I tell myself there's certain areas I need to drop. I need to pick up certain new things. I tell myself there's certain new behaviors I want to pick up. I reinvent myself because I'm just a wonder. You cannot entirely know me because every day a new version is unfolding. So I love myself because I'm a wonder to myself. How much more to my world? Listen, if you don't value yourself, no one else will. Your self-esteem shows is like an advert. What you're telling yourself in your mind, it shows in how you react, in how you behave, in how you live your life. So we see what's actually going on in your mind. And guess what? That is why people also take advantage of you, because they see the vibes you're sending out. I'm insecure. I'm inferior. There's nothing good in me. I'm timid. I don't know what to do. Oh, I'm helpless. And then people see all those vibes and start preying on them. Prey. They start preying on them. And then you wonder why people are always attacking you. You wonder why certain things are always happening in your life in a particular way that is not good. You wonder why all those things are happening. It's because of the message you're sending out to the world. You're telling the world I'm not valuable. You're telling the world I'm useless. You're telling the world I have no importance. And guess what? The rest of the world would serve you exactly what you have said about yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll have to stop here for today. But please, remember this. Remember this, remember this, remember this. Your worth is God. Because it took God to get you into this world and to get you saved. Your physical birth and your spiritual birth, both of them, it cost God to bring you in first as man, as human, and then as a regenerated human. God, not any other thing. So you are valuable to God. Valuable to the world, and please be valuable to yourself. Thank you so much, and I'll stop there for now. All right, thank you, and I hope you really enjoyed yourself. All right, I hope it was a good time. Feel free to drop comments